That's a bingo. Is that the way you say it? That's a bingo.
You just say bingo.
Bingo! How fun!
All right, That's a Bingo is back. It is Monday night. Coming to you for a Tuesday episode, September 22nd. My name is Jake Luke. I'm joined as always by Matt Pine, and we are just chilling here in the studio on a Monday night, winding down after a nice little weekend, at least for me.
Yeah, me as well. Loving the fall feel we got going on here, and many people say that fall is the best time for TV.
Listen, it's the best time for a lot of things. I've been making that pivot, I think, here as I get up into my mid-20s. Summer is great when you're younger, and I still love it, but something about being, at this age when fall starts to roll around, it just hits a little different.
Yeah, I think when you get up there into your mid to late 20s, you get a little bit wiser and, just appreciate fall for what it is.
Yeah, leaves on the ground. Weather is getting nice and crisp. It feels like it came a little early this year, which was great. Some fall beers, stuff like that. I'm going alcohol free for the next couple of days because I didn't even really have that crazy of a weekend, but just unwinding, trying to get a little bit healthier on a Monday night here. So the kid is sipping on some cucumber water.
I like it. As Michael Scott once said, fall is the most contemplative of seasons. So
you pronounce it correctly. I'm guessing there's some sort of bit in there, right?
Yeah, it's. Are you sure you can't say it or you can't pronounce it? Which one is it?
Yeah, who could honestly say?
All good stuff. All good stuff. Big episode ahead here. We have some Emmy talk that the Emmys premiered last night. Obviously it's a movie podcast, but we do talk a lot of TV, and definitely some good TV shows to suss through. We're also going to do a segment wherein we talk the best movies from 2010 to 2014. I know a couple episodes back we did the best movies of the last 5 years, so that should be fun as well. And then to wrap up our movie review with Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a lot of fun. Great pick by you. I think it was appropriately timed. I think we were getting a little down the serious rabbit hole, so picking something that was a little more fun and lighthearted was a good choice. I love these kind of movies. I really liked this one. Spoiler alert, we'll get into it. But yeah, it's going to be fun. Going to be fun doing this 2010 to 2014 movie list here. Going to be kind of difficult, I think. A lot of really good ones. A lot of bangers, as they say, that you and I both really agree upon. And yeah, as far as the Emmys go, I mean, you're just not going to find anyone that's more plugged in than us two.
We're the ultimate go-to. We're there on the red carpet, just plugged into everything that's going on. So need a one-stop shop. Look no further than That's a Bingo Podcast.
Yeah, we were texting beforehand and we were like, yeah, did you pay attention to it? I was like, yeah, kind of not really. And I was like, did you? And you're like, yeah, kind of not really. But we follow some of the shows and we there were some stories that were going on with it. But mainly what I took away from what I heard was that the setup was a little bit weird. They had like people delivering awards in hazmat suits to people in their houses and like walking away when somebody didn't win. It sounds like it was kind of a strange setup. The
most coverage I saw was like a 3-second video of Jimmy Kimmel like wiping off awards with like wipes and antiseptic like spray, and we're like, okay, dude, we get it, but no, should be fun to get into a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So you had looks like Schitt's Creek, which is a show I have not seen any of. Looks like they took home 9 total Emmys, 7 primetime awards in the comedy categories, and Succession took home 5 awards, including Best Drama Series, which I don't know if you're into Succession at all. I've seen the first season, got a couple epis into the second, and fell off after losing an HBO subscription, but got my HBO Max back now, so I'm ready to jump back into that bad boy. Big Succession guy over here.
There you go. That is that Paul Giamatti in that?
No, that's Billions you're thinking of. Succession is
Billions. Right.
You know Jeremy Strong from The Big Short, the like kind of bald dude. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So it's him. I'm forgetting the father's name, but he's kind of a famous actor who's awesome. Kieran Culkin from Fargo, the little shit brother. He just plays another little shit brother in this one, which is funny. Yeah, really, really good show, Succession.
Okay, I'll have to check that one out. But yeah, Schitt's Creek. I mean, they definitely swept, as they say. I think it's the most ever. Let's see, breaking the Emmys record for the most wins in a single season for a comedy. That is impressive. Um, and I've seen, a season or two of Schitt's Creek. I do like the whole duo of Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, going back to their days in Best in Show. Great comedy duo there. And if you ever just want a reliable laugh, go to Schitt's Creek.
That's a dude with the eyebrows, correct, from American
It
Pie?
is. Yes, it is.
I like him a lot.
Yeah. Big fan. Big fan of the whole Canadian comedy thing they got going on.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah, that's another show I've been kind of meaning to check out for a while. Seems like it's kind of up my alley with the style of comedy that it is. So yeah, maybe I'll get into that. Saw Better Call Saul got snubbed a little bit. Haven't seen the most recent season, but that is a show I really want to catch up on. I binged through. I had seen like probably season 1 and maybe a little bit of season 2 in years past, but I just couldn't get past the Breaking Bad thing, and started binging it through quarantine. And once you kind of do get past that Breaking Bad prequel thing and just start to appreciate it for what it is, it's really a truly amazing show, probably on par with Breaking Bad, I think. And I haven't even seen the most recent season, which apparently people say is as good as anything Vince Gilligan's ever done.
Yeah, it's funny because I think when people like equate the two, it's kind of like apples and oranges. Like they're not the same show.
No, not at all.
But I think it's extremely underrated in the sense that, yeah, it's pretty much on par with Breaking Bad. Like I think the first season of Better Call Saul is better than the first season of Breaking Bad. And, who knows? But yeah, I got to do a little bit of catch up on that. I think I'm 3 seasons in. Giancarlo Esposito just got introduced, I think. So I'm like right around season 3 or 4.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting point you made, that they're really not that similar. Like they are in the way that they're shot and directed and everything. A lot of these montages and like wide shots of like Albuquerque and like the sun rising and setting and stuff. It's stylistically similar in that way, but in the way that it's written and kind of the tone of it is a lot different. It's more about interpersonal relationships, I think, than just one guy's journey from X to Y point. So yeah, big Better Call Saul guy. Sad to see that Ray Seahorn in particular, I think she's the actress who plays Kim Wexler. I think she was like up for Best Actress and she didn't win it. So unfortunate there, but yeah, the Emmys. We didn't pay too much attention. So belabor the point.
Yeah, just another point on Better Call Saul. I think like that show, Atlanta, I think, Mr. Robot, I think those are 3 shows that are like on par. We talk about like TV shows being on par with movies nowadays. I think those 3 shows are really kind of making that push. And, big miss there by HBO. I think they were offered Breaking Bad, turned it down.
So actually, it's interesting. Yeah, HBO, they didn't even apparently the way Vince Gilligan tells it is they like didn't even entertain him. They took the meeting, but they just kind of weren't paying attention. And then apparently it's funny because FX was all over it and they really wanted it, but for whatever reason they couldn't make it work. And you think about all the great stuff FX has done since, that would have been quite the bang to start off their boom that they've had in the 2010s there. But yeah, that's a boon for AMC. So good for them. They could use it.
Knocking it out of the park with Breaking Bad and Walking Dead pretty much concurrently. So good for them. Couple other Emmys notes I had. A show that I believe you have watched, or you're listening to, the graphic novels, that is Watchmen. Actually won for Best Limited Series, so I thought I would bring that up for your sake.
Yeah, it's good to see. That was a really cool show. That another one that I didn't finish. I got up right up until like apparently the most critically acclaimed episode. So I'm gonna have to go back and revisit that. And yeah,
something to look forward to, right?
Yeah, and the graphic novel, another thing. Like I started, I get like 200 pages in, then for whatever reason, I just haven't been able to finish it. But yeah, that's another one that I think I'm gonna really get around to doing sooner rather than later, because it is worth your time.
And then another note I had here, I'm like impressed by this, but I'm also like not shocked. And it's the fact that SNL won Best Sketch Series, which I don't know exactly what their competition is. But another note from them, they have won now 71 Emmys, which just boggles my mind.
Well, I think like it's so easy to win Emmys in like all these different like disparate categories. So like the fact that they've won that many isn't that shocking. But yes, Best Sketch Series, I'm not really sure what they're up against.
Okay, so the 90s they had In Living Color, in the early 2000s Mad TV, but I don't really know what else they would have had.
I think You Should Leave, maybe. Like, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Or Frank TV with Frank Caliendo.
For You. Yeah, I don't know.
That was actually a good show.
Yeah. Okay. Portlandia was good. I don't know if that's still going.
Oh, that's a good call. I guess that's considered sketch, right?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it depends on how you want to define it, but if we're going with Portlandia, then it feels like there's many shows like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Yeah,
right,
interesting.
Cool. That's the Emmys right there.
Good for SNL. They could use the the bump because apparently not really firing on all cylinders like they were maybe in the 90s.
Yeah, I was a gigantic SNL fan, like in the late 2000s, like around 2008, 2009. Cast has fallen off, a little bit. You're losing Jason Sudeikis, Fred Armisen, Bill Hader. So hopefully they can revamp a little bit. We'll see. I think they're kind of trying to hedge towards the whole younger culture, like get people that are known from Vine or from YouTube or what have you. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, it might be smart. That's like what Barstool is doing.
Right.
Yeah,
just hire people like Joey Molinaro.
Yeah, exactly. Like just hire people like that. But yeah, it's interesting. I think in the 90s it was kind of like young comics, like all they wanted to do was get to SNL, and then I think the sitcom boom happened, and it was like, all right, well, I'm going to get to SNL to get me to Y location here, in my life. So maybe it's now just a stepping stool at this point, or maybe not even that. But it's interesting. Hopefully, they can return to form at some point, in whatever form or fashion that is.
Right. We'll see. Election years are usually good years for them season wise, but I don't know how they're going to work the whole audience thing this year.
I just feel like politically, like we're in a very different spot than we were in like 2008, where it's maybe a little easier to like make jokes.
Right. Exactly. Then it's like, oh, this is actually real life. We can't really, poke fun too much, I guess, and still, enjoy the show. So
yeah, exactly. It's a little more. It's not like doing the Sarah Palin talent show bit, which was
I am interested to see Jim Carrey though as Joe Biden. Should be funny.
Yeah, I think that's going to be good.
All right. So moving on, I only have I think I set an all-time low for the last 5 months in movies watched this week. Only have 2, not including our movie review. So I don't know if you watched any other ones.
I think I might have 2 as well. I'm doing some technical stuff here if you want to get us going.
Yep. So the first one I finished late last week. I think I've actually finished it the day we did the last podcast. It was Shawshank Redemption. I'd never seen it before. Obviously has all the hype there, and it delivered for me. It really did. I really appreciate the writing, the voiceover work by Morgan Freeman. Always a treat. And it definitely was deserving of all the awards it got.
Get busy living or get busy dying. Old Andy Dufresne. Yeah, I wish I could tell you that he put up the good fight and the sisters.
Yeah.
But prison is no fairy tale.
Yep, definitely.
So just so
that's solid. I'll give it a solid B.
Yeah, I think that's been a good one for me that I've been able to lean back on over the years.
Yeah, for me, it's like Harry Carey or bust. So
yeah, I hope to see my brother again one day. I hope.
Oh well. Yeah,
that's a great movie.
It is a great movie, and Tim Robbins pleasantly surprised by the acting in that. Not that he couldn't meet the challenge, but he did very well. And what's the old man in that movie? I keep forgetting his name.
Brooks.
Brooksy, yeah. That 5-minute scene of Brooksy like trying to reintegrate into life, that was like the saddest 5 minutes like I've ever seen in a movie. Holy shit.
They do a lot with a little with that character. I think
and
the Brooks was here. There's a good Family Guy scene where Stewie's like, "Did you see Brooks was here?" I called
Brooks was here.
I never got that reference, and then I saw that. That's a little darker. So was Red.
Yeah,
so it's all good.
Very true. And then the second movie I watched was Saving Mr. Banks, kind of a Disney theme about the making of Mary Poppins. I was telling a buddy that I've seen 3 Colin Farrell movies, and all 3 of them have been in the last month with The Lobster in Bruges and Saving Mr. Banks. And Bruges. And Bruges, fine.
Okay,
and it was good. It was like a 7.9 or so for me. Just an easy, fun watch. That's pretty much all you're gonna expect. But well acted, I would say.
That's good. Yeah, I've been been pretty transparent about the fact that it's probably going to be hard to keep the movie pace up with football season starting, but I did manage to get a couple in and some good ones. So obviously, forgetting Sarah Marshall, we're going to touch on that. But All the President's Men, 8.5 out of 10 for me. Really good, and sort of that provides the structure for a lot of these journalism movies that I really love. And just a really, really good movie that I'm sure we're going to cover at some point on here.
Yeah, I was somewhat surprised by that. I think 8.5 is a very high score. I just thought you might have it a little bit higher, but I respect it.
Yeah, it's there's I don't know, man. Like you talk about these 70s movies really appealing to you, and for some reason, some of the movies in that era just don't click for me. Like there's just something weird about like the way they're shot, and for whatever reason, even more so than in 60s movies, I can't understand what's being said on the screen all the time, and like just kind of a hang up with me. Like I don't know what it is, but I did really enjoy it still. And 8.5 is kind of high for a movie like that for me.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, we'll have the debate at some point. I think I just like 70s movies the most because I think it's kind of the bridge to the modern film take.
I can see like the bones of a lot of stuff that I really, really like, and I did really, really like it as well. But there were some like I got lost in plot points a little bit at certain points, but overall it was very good.
Well, I know because Tarantino has talked about before, like with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like the whole, the whole like actor of the 60s, like the buff type, like macho guy, like asking him to transition from the 60s and go into like a movie like Deliverance in like 1971. It just doesn't happen.
That's what that whole plot of that movie is basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. That just kind of appeals to me, and I like how the shift really was noticeable in the 70s. Definitely matched the feel of the decade, as we talked about with Dog Day Afternoon. But I just really appreciate it.
Yeah. I liked it a lot. I really liked the interplay between Redford and Hoffman. I thought that was pretty funny. Kind of reminded me of some stuff that you see in like Mad Men and stuff, which I don't think that's a huge coincidence, given that their setting is only like a couple of years apart at certain points.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Redford pretty much, and Brad Pitt, just the same person.
The exact same person. Like it's unreal.
Even like they look alike in this movie. I was like, are we sure this is just not Brad's like dad or something?
Is that Cliff Booth right there? Is that so
anybody accidentally kills somebody, they go to jail.
Here's me quoting
that movie on a podcast for the second night in a row.
I did hear that on Beat That earlier today, but
there you go.
I heard you talking a little Bruce Lee there too, buddy.
Especially because I'm embarrassed you in front of all my friends.
My hands are registered as lethal weapons.
Because my hands are registered as lethal weapons.
Better impression, Morgan Freeman or Bruce Lee for you?
I think I've only jumped into this Bruce Lee now after seeing the Mike Moe version of it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, so the answer is resounding Morgan Freeman.
I've never heard Bruce Lee speak, to be candid. I've only seen the Mike Moe on who's the actor that plays him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which apparently he did a very good job. So
very good job.
But yeah, I don't. You tell me if
watch Enter the Dragon, and
I see you laughing over there, but I did not say anything funny, so I must. Absolutely preposterous.
Yeah, it's great. No, it was definitely like a exploitation version of it, but it was pretty spot on. Like the rhythm of the way he speaks.
Yeah. Like that's where I don't want to get like too into the weeds with that. It get a little offensive, so I don't want to do too much of that. But I think he's fun to impersonate.
Yeah, at least that gave me a chuckle at least. So
okay, good.
All right. So moving on to a little bit of a fun segment, we did the best 5 movies of the last 5 years, a few episodes back. So this is going to be the top movies from 2010 to 2014. I'm sure at some point we'll just do the 90s, the 80s, and possibly the 70s. Coming in at number 5, who do you got, Jake?
So at number 5, I have The Wolf of Wall Street from 2013.
That barely missed my list.
Yeah, it's I was kind of surprised it made it looking at some of these movies, to be honest, but I think about the fact that the movie, it's just one of those things where you see it at a certain point in time and it's just going to stick with you forever. This came out in 2013. I was a freshman in college, and like
Yep.
super into like, the like college culture and like that whole lifestyle was kind of more appealing to me than it was now that they're living in this movie. And like, if you're like that kind of shit, like that just appeals to like an 18, 19-year-old kid who's like just kind of now like getting into partying and all that stuff. So I think it holds a special place in my heart. If it's not the best Scorsese movie, like I said on a couple episodes ago, it's not even in his top 5 for me. But as far as movies of that sort of time frame, I think it means a lot to me in that respect. And yeah, I mean, like when you're in college and like, not ashamed to say that I was like following like TFM and stuff at the time, and they're like posting about it on Twitter.
Yeah, same here.
I wasn't even in a frat, and it's like that. It was really just
Same
funny
here.
content, memes that was coming out of it. So yeah, it's as far as a movie, it's a little bit much at times. It's a little too crazy, but great performances all around. And oh no, that's incredible.
Yes,
That's incredible.
got that on my bookshelf. Got into I got into a little TFM in college, and was a big Ross Bolin fan. And,
shouts to Washed Media, actually. Now 3 guys that I'm a huge fan of that used to write for them: Dylan, Dave, and Will down in Austin.
Is that Dave Ruff?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The guy that came on Beatdown.
Oh, nice pull there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially it came out sophomore year for me in college, and especially being a business major, this movie was definitely highly influential in some of the ways we spoke to each other, and I can definitely relate there.
Yeah, the way that it influences how you speak to each other was there was plenty of good and bad aspects to it, and it's a lot of fun. Like it's a really fun, cool movie, and people debate till they're blue in the face about whether it's actually really that great. It's like it's just it's Scorsese playing the hits, which is nice. And it's sort of funny, like the way I look back on it now, I'm almost ashamed to say that I really like it. I don't want it to come across that way because I'm not, but like,
no,
I'd rather look at it that way than like some of my friends who didn't grow out of like why it's probably not cool to act like that.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be on this side. So, but yeah, it's within my top 5 of this time frame.
I feel the exact same way. I think when I first saw it, I would have been like, "Oh, this is my number 1 Scorsese movie." Like, I just had
no understanding of like what that even meant,
Right. going back though, like on a second and third rewatch, like when he like towards the end when he punches Margot Robbie, I was like, "Ooh, this does not reward a rewatch too well."
Yeah, it's something where a lot of the stuff was maybe even a little too much at the time, and it doesn't age well now, specifically with a lot of the Me Too stuff and everything like that. But for what it's worth, I think the Margot Robbie character was pretty strong. So
she was. Yeah. Tremendous.
A lot of positives and negatives to it. A lot of the best and worst of Scorsese in this.
Tremendous cameo by McConaughey in that one.
All right.
It's all pixie dust.
We don't build shit. We don't create it. It's Fugazi, it's a woozy. See, like that's the shit. Like you say that, and like anyone in our age group knows what that means. Like that's a movie that means a lot to our age group, I think.
Incredibly relatable for the college crowd, definitely.
For sure.
Number 5 for me would be Birdman. Don't think I appreciated this the first time I watched it, but this is like Michael Keaton's real big comeback. Love the one shot where it follows the protagonist the entire time. 1917 also does this, and then I just really love the percussion throughout. Don't know if you've seen this movie, but what's his name? Alejandro Inarritu, who also did The Revenant. Yeah, it's phenomenal directing performance here. Yeah,
I haven't seen it. I've heard some good things. I'm a big Keaton guy, as you know. And I am a fan of that style as well, that sort of one-shot thing. I think I've only really seen it done in 1917, but I've been aware of it as an idea, and I knew that that's what this movie was. So going to have to check that out.
Nice. Number 4 for you.
It is Nightcrawler. So we've broken this down a little bit.
Big snub by me.
Yeah. It's not on your list, huh?
It's not.
Interesting. So it's number 4 for me here. A movie that I came to a couple years after it came out in 2014, but kind of right on the edge there in that last year. But just a tremendous movie. A lot of roots and stuff like Taxi Driver and stuff like that applied with more modern sensibilities. And looking back on some of the reviews, man, when we talked about it, I went back and looked at it. I don't think it was even fully understood by people at the time because, some of them were saying like, oh, they don't really have anything to say. And it's like, I think they kind of completely missed the point, especially with the way technology has evolved, even in just like the 6 years since then. So it's a movie that gains relevance as time goes on, and big Nightcrawler guy.
Yeah, I think, like I just said, big snub by me, but I think if I were to go back and reevaluate the decade, 2010s decade, probably make my top 10. I think that's safe to say. And, obviously we've had a weak few, excluding 2019, we've had a weak few movie years here, 2018, 2020, obviously. But big Nightcrawler guy, definitely the reminiscence back to Taxi Driver, and Jake Gyllenhaal knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. What is your number 3?
More number 4, actually.
Right.
But number 4 would be Whiplash for me. Can't say enough good things about this movie. J.K. Simmons obviously gives a hell of a performance. I love that Damon Chazelle, kind of interluded the whole jazz band with the Full Metal Jacket type theme, and I've talked about it probably on at least 3 or 4 episodes. Just love this movie.
Yeah, we have talked about it on here. It is on my list. Spoiler. But another favorite of mine from the 2010s. J.K. Simmons, an absolute lunatic. Miles Teller, underrated in that leading role there, I think. And man, the Full Metal Jacket, boot camp scenes. I think they do it better than some war movies. And they're talking about a fucking jazz band. So that's how good this movie is.
Yeah, I know we talked about like what Inglourious Bastards have been made without Christoph Waltz. Like Miles Teller grew up playing drums, played drums his whole life. I'm sure they could have found another actor to play the role, but I think Miles Teller was perfect for it.
Yeah, he brings a certain like anger and angst to it that you really need to nail, and it's kind of tough to do that and also be like a goofy, awkward, nerdy kid. So great job by Miles. I'm a big fan of his.
Yes, agreed.
My number 3. Django Unchained. I'm sure this is on your list.
It is very close on this list. Number 3, but very close.
Yeah, so Django is my number 3 here. Talk about intros to the Tarantino universe for you. I think it might have been my 4th or 5th one that I saw. So, right. But what I think is very cool about that is that it's a new take on something that he's doing. So he kind of has these phases where in the 90s he's doing this kind of noir, like crime caper type movie. Then he moves into Kill Bill, which, it's basically just one movie, but technically 2. That's, these samurai kind of revenge movies. And then recently, pretty much Inglourious Bastards until now, it's been sort of historical reimaginings of things. And he started it with Bastards, which is, maybe does it better than this a little bit, but it kind of just misses out being released in 2009. And I think this is pretty close, coming out in 2013. Depicts slavery in some uncomfortable ways, some also humorous and comical ways. Depicts, racists and people like that in cartoonish ways, in a way that, we touched on this a little bit with Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, but it manages to make that shit, which is really uncomfortable, like kind of funny to watch at times and also uncomfortable to watch at times, which it should be. It sort of does it all. And I think it speaks to Quentin that this is probably like my 4th or 5th at most favorite movie of his. But I think it's in the conversation for being the best movie in this time frame. But it's number 3 for me here. Big Django Unchained fan.
It is also on my list, so I'll talk about it in just about a minute. But my number 3... little bit of controversy here. I had to do some digging just to make sure it would qualify for the 2014 year. It's Ex Machina. So it debuted at a film festival in December of 2014. So it still counts. It had the wide release in the spring of 2015. But I'm going to throw it in there anyway.
Listen, it's your list.
And Ex Machina, love. We did, I think, a follow-up here with Annihilation. Was not as big of a fan there, but Alex Garland. Yeah, Alex Garland as the screenwriter and the director really depicted kind of like the future of like technology in a really like spooky but almost palatable way. Like the robots like try to like befriend the humans, and they're like fully integrated. And this was my introduction to... or actually, this is my second movie I saw Oscar Isaac in, including Inside Llewyn Davis. But the twist at the end, I can't say enough good things about it. I've probably seen it 2 or 3 times, but I definitely need to go back and give it a rewatch.
For sure. I've heard really good things. Is this a Charlize Theron vehicle?
This is what's her name? Alicia Vikander. It's not Charlize.
Okay. I don't know why I thought it was her, but yeah.
If
Okay. I'll check this out. I've heard it's good.
If you've seen Black Mirror, this is like the basis for Black Mirror.
Yeah, I avoid that because it just gives me anxiety. So maybe I will be skipping this one as well.
If that's the case, then I would, yes.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, number 2.
Whiplash. So we talked about it, pretty much touched on everything we need to touch on with this movie. This is one of the best movies of the 2010. It might be my second best movie of the 2010s, behind only number 1 on my list, which I think is probably pretty obvious to you.
I think we have the same number one. Yep.
But yeah, this is just an incredible movie about something that I didn't think could hold my attention for as long as it does, but it manages to do that, which is a feat in and of itself. We've already touched on it. Whiplash, number 2 for me.
Number 2 for me, Django. I think as much crap as Tarantino has gotten for this movie, I think people really need to understand what his whole motive is. I think like they have a lot of problem. People that don't watch Tarantino movies have a lot of problem the way he portrays Black people in his movies, and I think that's completely misunderstood. Obviously Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction is the smartest guy in the movie. Obviously in Django Unchained, Django gets his revenge on everybody. So I don't think you could ever accuse Tarantino of any misgivings in that respect. I really, really love the casting for this movie. I think Kerry Washington, kind of really unknown at the time. She wasn't really in other, films or TV. I think Scandal came like a year or two later. Love the music. Love the opening credits as the ode to Sergio Leone there. Tarantino, just a lover of film. It really shines through, especially in this movie.
Yeah, it's one of those palette movies of his where he's just doing all these different things that he saw in these spaghetti westerns growing up, specifically Sergio Leone, you mentioned there, like Fistful of Dollars and
Good, Bad, the Ugly.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly, A Few Dollars More, all these movies that big influence on him. And yeah, I mean, it's an uncomfortable conversation. I get it. And like, I don't want to be white guy sitting here telling somebody like Spike Lee how they should feel about this movie, who was very critical and did not seem to be the biggest fan of Quentin, at least at the time. But yeah, I think it speaks to the fact that it's very clearly satire. Like if you watch it, then you get what's going on. You get that, he's not trying to endorse the actions of people on screen. In fact, quite the opposite. He's saying that racists are idiots. Racism is stupid. Slavery was evil. And there's a little bit of a historical correction there with a character like Django, who sets out to take vengeance on all these types of undesirables and succeeds in saving his wife there. So Django maybe gets lost in some of that discourse a little bit, but I think a very smart movie on top of all of that as well.
Yeah, I've said this before, but Django is the reason I love Tarantino. I had never seen a film like this before, and I think it's a solid. I think number 3 on your list is fair, number 2, but it's got to be in there for top 5 movies of 2010 to 2014.
I need to rewatch that. I think of all the Tarantino movies, it might be, other than Kill Bill, it might be the one and Jackie Brown rewatched the least.
See, my thing is like his movies are so good that Kill Bill is probably like 7th on my list, but it's so good.
Yeah, Jackie Brown's like an incredible movie, and it feels almost out of place in like his filmography. It's like, what's going on here? But it's an interesting dilemma. I
love Jackie Brown, and Samuel L. Jackson just makes his way into every Tarantino movie, almost.
He does, and there's a guy who, speaking of Django, he's one of the main people who took up for Quentin and said, yeah, he's not a racist. He's an artist. So
in the big house. Love.
Oh, God. Mr. Calvin. Fucking Samuel L. Jackson is the best character in that movie.
Yeah, the best. Count Candy, hard to beat, but I would agree.
Yeah.
All right, number 1, drum roll. I believe we would have the same movie, but let's just hear it.
It is The Social Network.
Yes.
2010 movie, of course, written by Aaron Sorkin, starring Jesse Eisenberg as Mark Zuckerberg. Too many Bergs going on there, but I think we both knew we were going to be landing at number 1 with this one. Yeah.
If you would have invented Facebook, you would have invented Facebook.
You have my attention, the least amount of it,
the minimal amount.
As soon as like we're gonna start discussing this and like you're gonna ask me for like my take on something, I'm just gonna be sitting here. It's raining. It's like, all right, Mark, like stop being such a
All right,
fuck.
we
Come
get
on.
it. You're a dickhead.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, this Super Sorkin, David Fincher. I mean, that's a knockout punch in itself. Sorkin has talked about how he cannot stay away from the courtroom. That is his absolute go-to move. And setting this around the deposition, one of the most brilliant ideas for an adaptation for a movie.
Not only the deposition, but you've got the other case going on, and they're kind of interweaving the stories in those different ways. And it's almost like a thing where it's easy to even lose track of that. And when you rewatch it, you're like, oh wait, yeah, I forgot that like he's getting deposed by Eduardo and the Winklevosses at the same time.
The Winklevi.
The Winklevi at the same time, and that's like the crux of the entire movie and the whole story of it. So yeah, brilliantly written in that, like that layering is like the third thing you notice about it, if that, and it's like maybe the smartest part of the whole way that the script is structured, and really the critical aspect of the movie, but also great performances, doing the whole Sorkin thing where they have to talk fast in certain spots, and casting is pretty much perfect. Score by Trent Reznor, pretty much perfect. I think it's pretty much a perfect movie. Filmed at Johns Hopkins right here in Baltimore.
It was. That's a true fact, sure. I do love the ending though as well, where he's only concerned about going onto Erica Albright's profile, and it's just kind of like a weird, twisted, like overarching thematic thing. Like he invented this thing that millions of people use, but at the end, he's only worried about like one human connection. Like I don't know. That just kind of that's sort of the moviefication of the whole story, I think, and it's effective for the movie. Apparently, like Zuckerberg denies it. Like he said that like of course,
I had broken up with girls. It like making Facebook wasn't about like impressing girls or anything like that. I just liked building things, which I believe that to an extent. I'm also like sitting here looking at a guy like Zuck and all the stuff that we know him now. It wouldn't shock me at all if like A, it was a bad breakup, or B, he was just terrible with girls to begin with, where he's like, I have this immense talent and I'm going to use it and abuse it and do whatever I have to do to get famous and rich. And that's going to be my ticket to becoming a successful person, both with the ladies and in other facets. So, yeah, it's a great portrait of a person that maybe is true in some ways, maybe isn't. But I think if you just look at it for face value, what it is, a movie, which, based on a book as well, to be fair, but, a movie, it is pretty much perfect.
Just the way the actual Mark Zuckerberg sips water tells me that dude is an absolute fucking nutcase.
Yeah, and he was like surfing with a hoodie on, and he had dragging that wagon,
smoking these meats.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Well, oh my God, yeah, Jesse Eisenberg, man, I wish that guy would have more of a career. Yeah,
he's a really interesting guy. I've heard him on Lights Camera, Barstool before, and he is a like strict theater actor, and he really picks role. Like he can go from like Zombieland to Social Network like seamlessly, but he'll also like pick some like really serious roles. And I don't know, just the way that guy picks and chooses projects. I respect that.
Yeah, he's got taste, and he's one of those guys. He's mentioned he's on Lights Camera. I'll have to listen to that. I know he's like big into like Simmons, which doesn't surprise me. He's like probably one of those like sports fans that kind of approaches things differently. He seems like an interesting cat. So
has never seen a movie that he's been in. He does not watch his own stuff.
How do you feel about that? I don't know if I believe it when people say that sometimes.
Well, I think when you say it comes off as pretentious, like I'm such like a higher art form than you.
That feels like that feels like some shit that like Daniel Day-Lewis would say.
Which for him, totally fine. It's Daniel Day fucking Lewis.
I mean, I believe it from him. I believe it from Eisenberg, but like some people say that, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I totally buy you there.
And he's depriving himself of the #1 movie from 2010 to 2014.
Do you listen back to this podcast?
Admittedly, I have before. I don't do it on a regular basis, but I have.
I do that with this and with the other shows sometimes. Like if we,
I have no shame admitting that.
Yeah, if I know if we crushed one or like a big interview that I want to listen back to like take some notes on how I structured it. Yeah, I'll listen back.
If there's like a big laugh, I definitely want to go back and like watch that again.
And I kind of have to sometimes anyway for editing and cutting up social clips and stuff. So yeah,
of course,
no shame.
We're no Jesse Eisenbergs, but hey.
We certainly are not, but if we just apply ourselves a little bit, get out of New York, move out to California, we could. Your shares have been diluted.
your view shares have been diluted. Eduardo.
That was
that's crazy.
Good. It's not Eduardo though. It's Bardo.
Eduardo.
At least you have a girlfriend.
Psycho crazy. That Disney actress or whatever her name was.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
But it's good to have a girlfriend. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Sets his shit on fire as he losing shares in his company, like freezing bank accounts. What a crazy scene.
Yeah, what a movie.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, there's a few. Let me pull my list up here.
Gotta get them here.
Yeah, so just even in 2010 alone, that was probably the strongest year. I think you got The Town, Inception was the outside looking in.
Yep.
Shutter Island, I want to bring up. I like that movie a lot.
Yeah, I considered it. Didn't put it on there, but
True Grit from 2010. Yeah, that's a good one. Unstoppable.
Tony Scott.
I saw recently. Yep. 2011, you got Moneyball. I'm surprised you didn't have that on your list.
It was haggling there to be number 5. Did not make it at the end. I really like Birdman.
Drive. I like Drive. I'm not as in love with it as some other people.
I've not seen Drive.
It's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Source Code, really good movie from 2011. Jake Gyllenhaal action.
Interesting pick.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. I think people don't really talk about it anymore, but I think it's very good. Limitless. Wanted to bring that up. It's a movie that's like kind of a joke, but like also pretty good, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, people.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
It gets a bad rap, but it's not that bad. It's
like a movie that like I think it probably gets a bad rap because I think it's a movie that like people think normies go and see and think is like a smart movie. So I kind of get it from that perspective, but just from a technical perspective, I think it's a good movie. Horrible Boss is also 2011. That's a good comedy.
A little Christoph Waltz action.
Yeah, there you go. 2012, you got The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
The fire rises. Yes, this is our plan.
There's no gun in here. There's no drugs in here.
Argo 2012.
Argo, fuck yourself.
Yep. Project X 2012.
Project X was a big time college movie.
Yeah, for sure. It's another good DVD. Good party movie, which you don't see enough of those.
Miles Teller, and there in that as well.
Yeah, there you go. We're the Millers in 2013. No regrets on that.
No drug. Yeah. Yep.
2014. Interstellar and American Sniper. I also wrote down.
Oh, those are some good picks. I like that. We definitely have some differing on our lists here for honorable mention. But so is that all you had for the honorable mentions?
Yep.
Okay. I have 12 Years a Slave, which was actually produced by Brad Pitt there. Boyhood.
Is that McConaughey in that?
In 12 Years a Slave?
Yeah.
I don't think he is.
He's in some slave movie.
I haven't seen in probably 5 years at least.
Free State of Jones, what it was, I think.
Michael Fassbender's in 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah, it's Free State of Jones is what I'm thinking of. All right.
Okay. All right. Moving on. We have Boyhood, which does not involve slaves.
A lot of slave movies.
There's a lot of slave talk going on here.
Not great.
Might want to curb that for next time. Boyhood. There is no plot to Boyhood. It is just a boy going through his adolescence. A movie like Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ice Cube and everything, you'd think that there would be, a lot of plot to that. But I think you're thinking of Boys in the Hood.
Funny. That's funny. Come on.
It's funny. I'll give it to you. I'll give you that one. It's a wild pod. Richard Linklater, who directs, I believe, Before Sunset, Before Sunrise, Before Midnight, all those, cannot stop putting Ethan Hawke in his movies. And
also, my guy McConaughey, Dazed and Confused.
All right. So if you want to watch good filmmaking, it's not necessarily, in my opinion, a good movie. There is zero plot, but if you want to watch good filmmaking and they took 13 years to shoot it, definitely check out Boyhood.
That's a big Linklater theme.
Yes.
No plot.
Yes, it is. That's a good point. Hence why I didn't take him in my director draft. And Moneyball made it. That is in my honorable mentions. Dallas Buyers Club. you have not seen it, I think you would really, really dig this movie. There's your
These
McConaughey.
pharmaceutical companies really bringing me down, man. Just gonna get
I
some
want to sell
medication.
my own shit, man.
I got to see that. I haven't seen it.
Drops about 60 pounds for the role.
Oh, I've seen him like in promo stuff, which is incredible.
Yeah, crazy movie for with the whole 1980s AIDS themes going on there. Really, really, really impressed me. And Jared Leto, probably his best performance in my opinion. Did not know it was him until halfway through the movie.
That's a big Jared Leto theme, not knowing it's him because he's just hiding behind makeup and doing whatever the fuck else.
Gold teeth and what was that Blade Runner 2049?
It's Gary Oldman-esque as the dude.
It is Gary Oldman-esque. Yes. Can't wait to do that movie at some point. That's such a goddamn good movie.
Oh, we're gonna be doing that for sure.
Oh, okay. All right. I put Inception on there. Wolf of Wall Street.
I know.
I know I'm pretty, but I ain't pretty as a couple of titties.
Oh my god.
And so good. All right. So then I had Inception, Wolf of Wall Street, and then Her, which is a great Joaquin Phoenix movie.
What about him?
Not a big him guy. More of a Her person.
We'll get that.
I know it
for
gets
him,
confusing.
Sponsorship connection.
For him. Him also a.
This is our episode of Her, brought to you by 4 Hymns. Hymns.
4 hymns.
Hymns. And
twins.
We got to do that commercial show at some point.
I can't wait. Even if they don't give us permission, we're doing it still.
Oh, for sure. They want to pretend
it
doesn't exist, so they will not acknowledge us.
Him also a great Gothic band from Finland. Fun fact.
Okay.
I think that wraps up our best movies of the 2010 through 2014 era. If you're listening to this and want to tweet us in, what do you think of our list? I'm sure we'll post a graphic very similar to the director draft for this one as well. We can, get your thoughts on that. Did get a comment last time from a follower, Cameron, like the Tony Scott pick on my end.
Oh, good for you, man. Must be nice.
I mean, it was like a sick brag, but I didn't know if you saw the comment.
No, I see you sliding that in there. So great job by you with the self-aggrandizement there. I love it.
No big deal. All right. Are you ready to move on to our, I was too excited. I stumbled over my words there. Move on to our movie review for this week.
Yes, I totally am. I'm ready to move on because he's a major, major influence on me now. It's Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
You sound like you're from London.
This is really good. I'm glad you picked this movie.
It is such a good movie. I think it's one of the more, it shouldn't be, I think it is one of the more underrated movies, comedy movies of that era. It is not an Apatow directed, but he does produce it. And man, what a movie, and probably a nice change of pace for our movie reviews.
Yeah, we got to do more movies like this. And I think in the sense of what you're talking about there, the first thing I wrote down was it's a movie that as soon as it starts rolling, you're kind of put into a time and a place, and you can sort of understand it right off the bat with the Cake song playing. We'll talk about that. Like just Jason Segel and everything. There's just a very like mid 2000s comedy vibe to it that I think very, very understandable and very comforting, I think. And it's an effect that's also created by the tone, I think, and something that's like a little more base level is like the physical comedy of Jason Segel. He's literally just playing Marshall from How I Met Your Mother, which is probably, I think it's pretty obvious that that's just who he is, which is, it's pretty cool. It's a very authentic movie, which you don't always see with these rom-coms.
Yeah, I think with the time period, I definitely, I could probably speak for a lot of people, but I definitely miss those times, like that feel, the just simpler times. It was 12 years ago, feels a lot longer than that now. But in many ways, 2008, with the freedom to make these type of movies, I think that was definitely a bonus for the era, and definitely Forgetting Sarah Marshall definitely included in that.
Yeah, I think it speaks to sort of where the country was at. I mean, you had the financial crash and everything in 2008, but
yeah,
it was maybe a little bit of a lighter time comedy wise, and the way that people were taking in media, and like there wasn't this massive critical eye, and not everybody wasn't trying to be so serious about everything. And I kind of, I've talked about it on here before. I yearn for that to hopefully happen again. I think we'll get there, but country's just going to need to get into a little bit more of a laughing mood before we can. But in the meantime, looking back on a movie like this, which is both sort of just comfort food, but also has a lot to say, I think it was a treat.
It is kind of wild that for all the comedy that was churned out, especially movie-wise in that era, it was basically either Judd Apatow, Seth Rogen, and in this one, Jason Segel kind of leading the charge. It just seems like a very select group that were doing that.
Yeah, it's sort of we talked about it before with guys that grew up on SNL and wanting to sort of imitate that type of stuff. And this is maybe a little bit post that, but guys that basically grew up in the 90s, watching shows like Seinfeld and stuff like that, and sort of bringing their own sort of modern Gen X or like late millennial or whatever, or early millennial, whatever you want to call it, spin on it. A little bit different. And that sort of Seth Rogen, Apatow type comedy. I think the fact that it's written by Segel is especially impressive because he captures that voice in a way that they're not really involved in it too much, but or Apatow is, but like some of these other guys aren't. And the fact that he was able to capture that voice and put his own spin on it was very impressive. I didn't know he really had that in him.
Yeah, very impressed. Looks like we're going to now go to our instant replay of the full frontal scenes from. We're not doing that, Jake. We're gonna scratch that at the last second. There were some FTC rules that were going on there, or FTC rules that were going on there that prevented us from breaking down shot by shot the Jason Segel dong scene, which the movie basically opens with. Which I can't say I was expecting, but was pleased. And that's actually his piece. So good on you, Jason Segel. Good on you. And that was not the only scene.
No, it's not. There's multiple.
Good for Kirsten Bell for sticking that one out and going with it. Jesus Christ.
Do you think she actually saw it?
I'm gonna say yes. I don't know. I feel like that's pre Me Too era. That's pre all that movement. So I think on set, I think it was fine.
Okay, it's interesting. Yeah, I feel like it would have been pretty easy to just like shoot. Sometimes they'll do that where they just shoot
just the back of a extra's head. And it's possible, exactly. I guess. It's possible. What else I have here from this movie? Wanted to get into this discussion a little bit. We did breach it a little bit, but what do you think? Hollywood taking itself too seriously. I know that's what got you to watch Pineapple Express again. What do you think about this whole concept?
Yeah, listen. So I think that's something where that they've started doing that recently in like the last decade or so, and that's taken away movies like Pineapple Express or like Grandma's Boy, which are just dumb fucking movies, but they're good. I think this is a movie that I wouldn't say it takes itself seriously, but I think, like I mentioned, Segel's writing it and he's putting a lot of his own stuff in it. So I think it doesn't take itself seriously, but it's authentic. It has some stuff to say, like I've been saying here. And I think what I appreciate about it is how it feels grounded in reality. Like we mentioned, it is sort of autobiographical by Segel, and the construction and the presentation of the characters and the relationships, they feel authentic. And it would have been like cheap and easy to like make Aldous the like archetypical like hateable new boyfriend. He is that in some ways, but in other ways he's like a likable character. And I think that kind of comes in through like the writing by Segel and like the performance by Brand. I think he comes across as somebody who would exist in the real world. So while I think I take your point about like this movie doesn't take itself too seriously in the way that some Hollywood movies do, it still manages to be smarter than some of these dumb frat comedies that came before it that maybe were a little bit of an influence on it, but I think it still separates itself from that pack a little bit.
Yeah, so a movie I had not seen, Get Him to the Greek. I did not realize that was a spinoff of this movie.
I didn't either. I haven't seen that, but I knew that Brand was in both of them, and I knew he was playing similar characters.
Out of Snow is the same name for both guys, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just straight up the same character, and then Jonah Hill is actually in Get Him to the Greek playing somebody different, which we'll talk about.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that is kind of strange. Just keeping Matthew, because that would have worked out. He would have definitely followed Out of Snow on tour and all that. Like, pretty simple transition there, but whatever.
Yeah, for sure. So I thought Brand probably my favorite performance in the movie. I think that's pretty clear. Kristen Bell I thought was really good though, like kind of nuanced performance there as Sarah. Again,
Paul Rudd, an all-time ancillary character.
Yeah, just a lot of bit characters in this. We'll talk about that. I think there's some of them are more effective than others. I thought Paul Rudd's bit character was way more effective than most of the other ones that appear in this. He's great. And he wasn't like the Paul Rudd that I was kind of making fun of in the last episode,
No.
just like basic white guy Paul Rudd from like Friends. He's just the same character in every movie.
Hey,
He's
guys.
something different. Hey guys, hey, yeah, I'm Paul. What's up?
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Huh? Who would have
Yeah.
thought? Yeah. What's up? Hey, Phoebe.
You're okay with sex predators being in our neighborhood? Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Just gonna eat this sandwich. But yeah, it's so as far as like the comedy goes to that point, I think it's quotable. We'll get to that. You've got plenty of those. I'll look some up as
I also
well.
just realized that my Paul Rudd is also my Jennifer Aniston. Wow. Yeah.
Hey there, sweetie. Oh, hey, Pitt. How you doing? How you doing, honey?
How you doing? Forgot. We got to mention that for a second though. That the reading of Fast Times.
Yeah,
Shia LaBeouf just an absolute.
He
just
plays
an absolute tank
Spicoli.
now.
Yeah, he plays Spicoli to a T, just like smoking a blunt on camera. It's pretty tight.
The stills and the screenshots made my night when I saw those.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I like what got me was Spencer posted it on Instagram, and I thought it was a legit remake, and they were doing like a table read. And I was like, wait, is that real? Because I was like, they definitely would cast Shia as Spicoli,
For sure.
but unfortunately not going to be a full movie. But yeah, a table read, so that's cool.
For sure. Interesting. Yeah. So I do like the whole location shoot going out to Hawaii.
Very Sandler-esque. Just get the bag.
Yes. Very 51st Dates type feel.
Yeah, which is cool.
But,
yeah, I would do the same thing.
Yeah. So definitely a little bit different vibe. What's that one parody movie where they like combined all the names of the like late 2000s movies? You know what I'm talking about? Like 40-Year-Old Virgin, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, were all combined. No idea.
No, not off the top of my head. No.
All right, I'm gonna look that up real quick.
Okay. But yeah, it is cool shooting on location. They managed to there's plenty of humor with that. We mentioned the sketch comedy, and I think to a degree, the movie is kind of like a sketch machine.
I found it.
Works to some. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So the name of this movie, starring Brian Callen, was the 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it.
Oh yeah, I have heard about. I've heard of that. I'm sure it got rave reviews.
We got a 1 out of 5 here.
Yeah, not a shocker.
Yeah. But I would like to see Brian Callen in a leading role. That would be funny.
Okay, maybe we'll check that out.
All right.
But yeah, I don't know. Like it's like a sketch comedy in some ways, right? Like you got all these bit characters hanging around the hotel workers, and Paul Rudd doing whatever the fuck he's doing is probably the funniest sort of side character. I didn't know what was going on with that Christian couple. I don't think that really landed with me.
One of my favorite quotes from this movie is definitely in there from them. I don't think it worked as well. I do like Jack McBrayer. He played what's his face, Daryl in the character
30 Rock, right?
from 30 Rock. So I think I like that connection there.
I like the fact that he's playing. Like they obviously just threw him a bone, and like he's probably like friends with Jason Segel. So it's like, yeah, we'll just give you a role in this. But yeah,
definitely weaker. But I did get a few laugh out loud moments.
Very
40-year-old virgin-esque.
Yeah, it just felt a little tonally out of place in some spots,
and a little pushed. Yeah,
it was a little forced, but yeah, it was funny.
Anything else before we get on to our categories and our trivia?
Just I don't know if I'm harping on it too much, but just very impressed by how it was kind of funny and zany, and they don't really lose the realness of the characters and the situation in all of that. I think that's something that's very easy to do. Like I mentioned with some of these comedies, they just get too lost in trying to do the bit and trying to do the joke that they don't really like tell a real story or make a real movie. Don't think that was this at all. Think it's very feel-good movie, centers around a relatable topic, probably helps some guys struggling with breakups in the same way that like a movie like Swingers did, which you don't really see a lot of movies like this that are made for guys that maybe help guys in that way. So I think it's very cool in that respect.
Yeah, I think Jason Segel perfect for that. And I think that's entirely why he wrote it. I did have one more point that I did tweet out the other night was, do we think that Sarah Marshall invented the addiction to smartphones with her movie there?
Yeah, what a legendary thing that was. I mean, like that was just in
Crazy.
there, and they didn't realize they were predicting like the next decade of entertainment and Black Mirror and all that stuff. And then that thing that Russell Brand is doing that popped up on Twitter the other day that you were talking about. Pretty weird how that worked out.
Yeah, and they're like playing it off. They're like, nah, that could never happen. like the rest of America.
Maybe they were ahead of their time and they were being satirical.
Could be. Written in, I guess this was shot in 2007, so I guess the year that the iPhone came out. I don't know, but pretty interesting. All right, so moving on to our categories. First one here, throwing tomatoes. Gonna have to give this one to Sarah Marshall herself. Come on, what are you doing here? I know you're this big TV star, but you're cheating on Jason Segel for a year. That's pretty rough.
Well, it's like a shitty thing to do, but I like the way they handled it, where you only get the one side of the story for pretty much the entire movie, and she's just sort of painted as like the bitchy, superficial, like actress, ex-girlfriend that you could see being something that happened in Hollywood. But then I do like, and this is a thing that I like about the movie a lot, is the flashbacks, where they kind of use that flashback to show that,
that's a good point.
Yeah, like Jason Segel's character was also just kind of being a dickhead and just like laying around and kind of like not being a bad boyfriend, but certainly not being like an active or good one. Like, relationships kind of, it takes two to tango, and like they kind of at least set up the fact that she was not happy for a while and that's why she did it. It doesn't excuse anything like that, but I think she was a little more, she wound up being way more fleshed out than I was expecting going into the movie, which I was impressed by. Like I mentioned, it's like I keep harping on the fact that it does have the authentic feel to it, and the fact that she and Aldous are both like real characters who it kind of feels like a real thing, where like, I don't know, I have exes that I'm like friends with and they have like significant others that I've managed to be friends with. And that's something that just like happens way more in the real world than movies tend to depict. And I think they did a good job doing that here.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the plot itself. But yeah, I think if you're Jason Segel there, you gotta not try out that vampire song on Sarah Marshall, of all people.
That storyline is taken literally straight out of a How I Met Your Mother episode.
Yes, it really is. Like,
and it's great. It's great.
A lot of it is like the breakup between him and Lily. End of season 1. So definitely drawing from inspiration there.
Yeah, it's cool. For mine, I didn't. So it was kind of weird. Like Rachel as a character, I liked, and I think overall it wound up being a good storyline. But it didn't feel totally fleshed out for me at first. Like
it's a fairly quick turn that she's like into,
right? Because like it's like at first she's into him, and then it's like, oh no, she's just like being hospitable to you because you're like there at the hotel, but she gave him the room, so that's kind of confusing. And it's like, yeah, okay, maybe she's just sort of like taking pity on him or whatever. But yeah, it didn't totally connect for me at first, but I think they brought it around nicely. Other than so I wrote down that, and I wrote down the Christian couple. Other than that, I didn't really have any complaints.
You definitely disliked them more than I do. I think that was just obviously it didn't contribute anything to the story, but it was pure comedy. I appreciated it.
Okay.
That's a bravo for me. It would be overall the ancillary characters. I really did, not all of them as strong as Paul Rudd, but as Chuck. What was the name he gave himself?
It was some like Hawaiian
name.
Yeah, I couldn't even pronounce it.
That was funny. But I like to see Bill Hader. I think Jonah Hill did a nice job as Matthew, kind of playing the same, like if the Superbad character was in Hawaii, kind of that's what it reminded me of. Fuck me, right?
She wants to fuck me. She wants my dick. I
was also very confused when I saw the redhead. Her name is Maria Thayer, because I always get confused. This is just me, but I just get confused. Jessica Chastain, Bryce Dallas Howard, and this actress. I don't know why.
Oh, so they just all look alike to you, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. Poor these people with red hair. When are they going to catch a break?
Yeah. They can cancel me if they want. I'm not screwed.
Okay. Matt Rogan over here. So you mentioned the performances that stand out. I did want to give a shout out to Segel. It's probably going to get lost in like the movie because he's just sort of the cipher for the audience and you just pretty much understand him. But I think like he does a really good job, better than probably most dudes that I think have his like looks and build would be, at just being totally self-deprecating and just like having fun and like not taking himself too seriously. I feel like if you're a guy like that, you could probably land some more serious like leading man type roles, but he's content to just sort of let the story play out and just be a cipher for the audience. So shout out to him for that.
Didn't he at some point mention? I think this was in the movie. He mentioned like the Muppets, and then he like what, 6 years later, he's like starring in the Muppets movie.
I think that's what got him the Muppets thing.
Okay.
Because he's legit like a big Muppets guy.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I wanted to give a shout out to him and his performance. And then, like I mentioned, the writing, it stands out. I think, like I mentioned, way more than a lot of other rom-coms or comedies from this era. The flashbacks providing a lot of depth on their relationship. And it's not just like, you're not just being told stuff that happened or like expository dialogue or whatever. You see a lot of it play out on camera, which is important. They're done pretty tastefully too. So I like that. And there's, it's just well done, I think. And you can tell Siegel poured a ton of like real experiences into it, which really helped. There's some trivia on that. And yeah, it's just, that's the kind of stuff that really sets a rom-com apart. And yeah, other than that, it's just plenty of laugh out loud lines that we're going to get to as well. So plenty of that's Bravos.
I was trying to think of like if there's another Apatow character that you can put in this role as Peter, and I don't really think there is. I think like Jason Segel is just a perfect like sympathetic character. Not going to see.
Yeah, well, what if you waited like a decade and wanted to put Pete Davidson into the role? What do you think he would do?
Pete Davidson. See, I could actually buy.
There would be a lot more edge to the role for sure.
I could actually buy the Pete Davidson because I feel like his dynamic with Ariana Grande,
right?
Like was this dynamic? Just saying.
Yeah, Ariana. What are you doing? Got a really high pitched voice. What's going on?
I'll get a bunny tattoo. I don't know.
We're gonna tattoo you, and we're gonna break up, and then I'm gonna be with whatever that really other attractive woman's name is. What a life that guy's living.
Pete Davidson living the best life for what he's got to work with. I swear, good for him.
Yeah, I mean he really makes it work. So good for him.
So I guess we can move on here to keeping score. Obviously I love the opening sequence there with "Love You Madly" by Cake. Big Cake guy. Love that band. Speaking
of putting you in a time and place, opening with a Cake song. That's maybe the most 2008 thing you could do.
You could do it no better. That's for damn sure. And the only other music, like I didn't really pay too much close attention to the music, but gotta chalk this one up to the vampire song there.
Yeah, it plays a role in the sense that he's a composer, so of course music is going to be a big part of it, and him playing those like weird self-deprecating songs on his piano about going to a psychiatrist. You can tell Siegel is just a musically inclined guy, so that just sort of imbues itself into the movie as well.
Yeah, the scene where he's like trying to add music to the FBI scene there on TV. He's just doing like funny, wacky sounds. That was funny.
He does like the Seinfeld remix, like that was good. No, it's like a little more serious. Like they're just discovering a body. So like if you could please
shouts out. What's his name? Is it Bobby Baldwin? Which Baldwin is that? I don't know.
I think Michael maybe, or maybe William Baldwin.
Well, Billy Baldwin. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Great little cameo there.
Yeah, he definitely looks like an off-brand Alec Baldwin. So
yes, it's like him. It's like Alec Baldwin, Bobby Baldwin, Stephen Baldwin. That's my order. Sure. That's my ranking officially.
I'd probably go Stephen too, just because of Usual Suspects. But
good call. What about for you for keeping score? I don't know if we have too much of a difference there, but
I wrote down the same stuff. Yeah, the Cake song to open it up, Big Cake guy as well, and just the whole idea of him being a composer. I think that's another thing that gives this sort of a unique flavor, is the fact that it's a musically imbued movie with the all the opera stuff and the Dracula song, and it's another thing they managed to kind of be self-deprecating with, but also like be kind of cool, because like the performance at the end was cool, and it's nice. It's very, very Siegel-esque. Yeah,
if Jason Segel, born and I believe grew up in the LA area, and the vampire kind of opera thing there at the end feels very like kitschy, very LA like off-brand type stuff that you would go to and on a Wednesday night and find with ease. Yeah, exactly. And here we are at Quote and Quotables, and Jake, looks like you got a little pain behind those eyes.
All right, I'm gonna pull some quotes up. Well, how about you go ahead first? I'll see if I can find some.
Okay, all right.
For those who don't know, we typically divide the duties between trivia and quotes, and went with trivia this week. I said I'd get some quotes. I'm gonna see if I can pull some up here.
Okay, I got you. Prime example of probably a line that cannot be said in 2020. Definitely if you go to The Hangover. Yeah. definitely, if you go to The Hangover, many of those lines probably could not be said this time of day. But Rachel's in the ocean there. Peter's about to jump, and she says, "Oh, come on, Peter! I can see your vagina from here."
Yeah, that one really jumped out right away. I was like, I don't know, Jim.
Yeah, a little problematic, but it fits for 2008. Yeah. Yet another one to mention here. Paul Rudd is on the surfboard, and he said, "I like her hair. I wonder if the carpet matches her pubes."
That was incredible. I laughed out loud when I heard that. Like, that is a very
that's a very Andy Dwyer,
like,
answer from Parks and Rec.
You could just hear like Vince Vaughn saying that at some point in Old School, like just like very stupid, but also like very, very funny. Like, you can't deny that that's fucking funny. Little Paul Rudd. You mentioned this last week, when life hands you lemons, just say fuck the lemons and bail.
Lemons and bail.
Which is pretty good.
That was my last quote. Matthew, played by Jonah Hill. Yet another super bad line where he says, "Okay, I'll just go fuck myself then." Just like to himself.
Yeah, and that's one that I didn't know that was from that. I thought that for some reason that was from like Superbad or Accepted or one of these other movies.
It isn't Superbad. It's in both.
Oh, is it? Okay. Or is Superbad that, or is it I Know Fuck Me, right?
That, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I was going to listen to that, but then I just went on living my life. That was pretty. It's like an asshole thing to say, but like at the same time, like whenever that kind of scenario happens, like that's really what they're thinking.
Did you see the actual CD though? The artwork, it was just his face like around the CD, like
I did not
8 times. That was great.
That's incredible.
All right, so Matthew's kind of waiting there at the restaurant. He says, "Well," he was talking on the phone. He's like, "Well, I would love to sell you some weed, Jeremy, but I'm at my fucking job right now." Love that.
Yeah, that's good. I saw him beat up a guy with a starfish. That guy was me.
I love that line.
Yeah,
that guy was me. And then the scene where they're pulling out the coral from out of Snow's leg. And I already mentioned this, but I just wanted to say it because it was a laugh out loud moment for me. And he's like, can you get me an ambulance? And he says, you sound like you're from London.
Yeah.
I love that.
Bill Hader, I'm going to get herpes just from sitting on this couch. That was a good one. Like really early in the movie that kind of sets the tone. That's a tone setter.
And then last one here for me was from probably your least favorite character, but I did like this line from Daryl, the mega Christian. He says, if God was a city planner, he would not put a playground next to a sewage system.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then last one for me was, he's a major, major influence on me now. Just that whole like Jonah Hill talking to Russell Brand in his accent. And Russell Brand not pleased in the slightest. Yeah.
And Out of Snow showing a little bit of a good taste there. Scrolling through Sarah Marshall's iPod and finding the only song that he likes is from Peter. So
there you
pretty
go.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. Anything else?
Those were all the quotes that I had.
Same thing for me.
We have some trivia to get to here.
We do. So pulling that up. So we've been touching on it. Film is obviously pretty autobiographical. Siegel has confirmed that. It's apparently based on his experience breaking up with Linda Cardellini. Do you know who that is?
I do not, but a quick Google search should help me out here.
So TV actress, been watching Mad Men recently. So she has a big role in that, is Sylvia, one of Don's later season flames.
Oh.
Very
she was on Freaks and Geeks. Interesting. That's probably where they met.
Yeah, that is why I haven't seen that, but yes. I could see myself getting pretty busted up if this was one of the ones that got away.
I know exactly who she is. Yes. She's the main character of Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, so it's based on breaking up with her and 3 other unspecified women.
Okay. All right, Jason Segel, I see you.
Yeah, really.
Turn that pain into like 145 million at the box office. I like it.
Speaking of that, he said that the naked breakup actually did happen. It was not involving this Linda Cardellini character. He said she was a great girlfriend, but apparently while it was happening, he was thinking was, this is hilarious. I can't wait till she leaves so I can write this down. I'm sure he thought that a little bit, but I don't know if I totally buy that that's all he was thinking in that moment.
Yeah, I don't buy it. It's probably like you're in that moment, you're caught up in it, but you're like, what's a silver lining that I can get out of this? And that was it.
Listen, he wound up making however many millions of dollars off of it. So at that point, maybe you just kind of, you accept it.
Worth it.
Yeah.
I think he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah. Do you know who Charlie Hunnam is?
No.
So the role of Aldous was written with him in mind. He's a TV actor who was on Sons of Anarchy, I think. I don't really know what else.
Okay.
He played Jack Teller on Sons of Anarchy, which I haven't seen.
Okay. I've seen the first season or so.
Okay.
Interesting.
When the film was first... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can't believe Jason Segel is only 40 years old. I would not peg him to be that young.
He's 40 now, you're saying?
Yeah, he's 40 now.
Okay. Yeah, I
don't know,
think he might be a little bit older than that, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I think he did How I Met Your Mother when he was 25. He started that, and like Neil Patrick Harris is like 35 or something. Great.
2004 did that show start?
2005.
2005. Okay. Interesting.
Just a quick note.
Yeah. Okay. So when the film was first released, Universal promoted it by hiring skywriters to fly over cities where it was playing with messages like, "I hate you, Sarah Marshall." Real life women named Sarah Marshall got calls from their friends asking if they were in any trouble or having trouble with their husbands or boyfriends. Some complained to the authorities, but were told that under the First Amendment, there was nothing they could do to stop it.
Good old Constitution coming in handy there.
Yeah, that's something else, man. Can you imagine, like, "I hate you, Matt Pine"? Just maybe.
Well, I feel like so I feel like that's a little bit different scenario. I feel like my name is not necessarily as common, but yeah, that would be
messed up a little bit, because if they had gotten in any legal trouble with that, it's like you really have to choose Sarah Marshall.
Oh, that's true. A specific person, right? That makes sense.
Yeah, it's something.
It's definitely something.
That's a wild scenario, but it's a very 2008 scenario as well.
Can't imagine that. Pick out your Razor phone, try to like take a picture of it, and it's all blurry and shit.
Your Razor phone. Let's see what else we got here. Jason Segel really plays the piano. What do you think of his musical chops in this?
So, being a giant How I Met Your Mother fan, during the Slapsgiving episode, he plays the piano and sings. So I was well aware of his musical talents. I think he did a admirable job for what I was expecting.
Okay. Yeah, I think if you do look at some of that How I Met Your Mother stuff, you can really see the carryover.
Yeah, I mean it's the same character. It's literally the same guy, and
it's just him.
Nothing wrong with that. I don't know how much I've seen of Jason Segel post, like I want to say like 2010, 2012 or so. I know he's been in like a good amount of stuff. Great in we definitely have to do this movie at some point. Great in I Love You, Man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I've heard that's him and Paul Rudd together.
Yeah, definitely want to do that at some point.
Yeah, that sounds like a good choice. Tonally similar to this. We mentioned the Get Him to the Greek is a pseudo sequel to this, so Aldous is the same character. There's a few references to Sarah Marshall in that movie. Apparently, I haven't seen it. Jonah Hill playing a different character as the other lead, which is kind of a funny little tie-in they do. They could have just done the same character, but they didn't.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the movie, but from what I've heard, it was not expected to do well whatsoever, but actually exceeded expectations. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, I have to go back, but I think it actually might have made more at the box office than this movie.
I heard it did pretty. I mean, just looking at it after seeing that trivia, it looks like it did okay critically too, which is surprising.
Very surprising, like almost on par with this one. So that's kind of a shocker. But I would like to see that, just to see like what the whole Out of Snow on tour experience looks like.
Definitely. So at the Lazy Joe scene, Rachel is drinking a Longboard Island Lager, which is brewed by Kona Brewing Company. So shouts to Kona Big Wave, one of my favorite beers, featured in this movie in 2008.
Interesting. A lot of varying nudity in this movie without actually, like, with the pictures on the wall, full frontal by Segel. It was little jarring. I was didn't really remember all that when I went back to do my rewatch here.
Another piece of trivia I saw that I didn't write down, but because you brought it up, body double there for Mila Kunis.
I figured that would be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not for Jason though. Of course, he's got to be just waggling dong all over the place.
Hanging it all out there.
Yeah.
What's the matter? I'm just hanging brain.
A guy's just trying to hang a little brain. What's the big deal? Creed is so adamant.
I can't scuba. What's it all about?
What is all this about? The scene where Peter and Aldous make fun of Sarah's movie. We talked about that before, about how that was prescient, but also kind of prescient and funny because they did that without knowing that Kristen Bell had starred in Pulse from 2006, which was a movie with the same premise.
I feel like Kristen Bell is more of a TV actress.
I don't really know her that well, to be honest.
Like she was like very young when she did this. She was, well, not very young, but she was 28, married to Dax Shepard. Fun fact.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Last bit I got here, Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City is in the background when Jason Segel's character is mocking the Sex and the City line.
Oh, well, that's pretty interesting. Former gubernatorial candidate, Cynthia Nixon.
There you go. I am not a crook.
Not a crook.
Nixon's back. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for some ammo today. Call of Duty Nixon reference for you there. So he didn't actually say that, but
I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today.
Take this, hippies.
I missed that dialogue there.
Yeah,
some pretty good. I'm not a big video game guy, but some pretty good dialogue as well in Red Dead Redemption, from what I understand.
Yeah, that's pretty much just like a movie. Like, in fact, Brad Pitt almost played the main character in a movie version of that. Didn't come to fruition.
Would have loved to see,
but
would have loved to see Outer Reign 2.0.
My name is John Marston, and I need me 8 sheriffs.
Doesn't ring the same. Doesn't hit the same as the Nazis.
So Red Dead Redemption 2 actually has the main character is a guy named Arthur Morgan, who is like in the original Red Dead Redemption. John Marston is like this smart, but he's rough around the edges, but he's like a very smart kind of criminal. And Red Dead 2, that's kind of flipped on his head. They play Arthur Morgan, who's this like career criminal who's like only knows crime, and he talks like this, and he's like, "Hey Dutch, what's going on there? I don't know about all this." So it's kind of a funny, different sensibilities between the two characters. But yeah, great games. You should play them.
I will look into that. In my opinion, it seems like that character could have been played by a one Jeff Bridges, but hey, get what you
he would do. Yeah, he would definitely be like Arthur, I think, for the second game. He's the second main character. But Brad could have been a good John Marston. John Marston, I think Bill Paxton would have been a good pick.
Oh, there's a name. Rest in peace.
The late great Bill Paxton.
He was in Nightcrawler.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could have done Christian Slater.
Christian Slater.
Larry, what are you doing? Telling them what is he? The caviar? What are you talking about caviar lopping for? Who are you?
I just love the lines that he recites in True Romance in the mirror there with Elvis Presley hovering over his shoulder. That was
I'm not saying I'd fuck Elvis, but what a weird movie that is.
It is a weird and wonderful movie.
Wild and wonderful. Shouts to James Gandolfini.
Yeah, wow. Just hitting all the rest in pieces in this episode.
This is it. Yeah, this is a wide ranging episode. Really did a lot here.
Yeah, you get to see the full breadth of Jake's and I's knowledge here, and if you like it, if you like what you hear, you like what you see, please recommend to a friend. We would appreciate that.
We certainly would.
I believe this is about the time that we hear our next movie for our next movie review.
Okay, so I don't really know what necessarily brought me here. It's a little bit of a shift in tone, which we shouldn't be doing, the fun comedies every week. We'll come back to one soon, I'm sure. But we're going to do something that's a little bit different, much more action heavy in 80s movie. It's 80s, early 80s.
Okay.
So one of the early 80s action movies that kind of sets the tone for a lot of stuff, and it is the preeminent post-apocalyptic movie, in my opinion, influenced a lot of post-apocalyptic video games, TV, movies, pretty much everything you see starts right here with this movie, and it is Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. I
like it a lot. I know we talked about this a lot when we did our top 5 movies of the last 5 years. Very much looking forward to this. I think this is the oldest movie that we've done so far, I believe.
Probably,
yeah. White Men Can't Jump was probably the oldest, but looking forward to it, man. This is a good pick out of you. Is this streaming? Can you tell the people where to go?
I believe it's on HBO Max is the primary one that I'm seeing here. Google Play, Fandango now. I don't know what that is. Amazon, YouTube to rent, DirecTV
Okay.
to rent. So HBO Max is going to be free. It's renting pretty much everywhere else. But I've seen it once, really like it. Good kind of fun movie. And like I said, it's a real tone setter for a lot of other similar movies and entertainment that you see in a similar vein.
Going back to the it's Mel Gibson, right? Mel Gibson days.
We could have done the first one, but I've seen the first one and it's really not great. And it's really not even like a post-apocalyptic movie. Weirdly, he's just like a cop in it. And it's like weird, and his family gets killed, and just kind of like, it's you probably should watch it if you're a big fan of the other ones. But for now, we can hold off on it.
Interesting. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I feel like the '80s is probably the most misrepresented decade in my movie watch list, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting decade for movie making. I know Tarantino is not a big 80s movie guy,
Right.
but I like a lot of 80s movies, and this is not your stereotypical 80s movie. It's Australian. It's post-apocalyptic. It's kind of weird, but there's some humor elements to it. There's a lot of really fun action, and it's a cool movie.
I feel like '80s is kind of the decade of the franchise, like the Spielberg-y type feel.
John Hughes,
Indiana Jones, E.T., Star Wars, whatever else, Terminator. So
commercialization of Hollywood.
Yeah, started back then. Looking forward to this one, man. It should be fun. This was a fun episode. I'm glad we could, skip a beat here with some of the drama and get into a little bit of comedy. I think we'll be doing that, more often as the show progresses. But appreciate everybody tuning in as always. And if you want to follow the podcast, you can do so on Twitter at Bingo Pod. We're also on Instagram as well.
At thatsabingopodcast on Instagram, all one word.
Thank you.
You can follow me at Jake Luke. That's LOUQUE on Twitter. And you can follow Matt at mpine_ for mediocre football and baseball takes, as well as our movie takes. We're pushing that stuff out there as well. Really appreciate everyone tuning in for this Tuesday episode. Going to be something fun.
I take issue with that comment, but proceed.
No, let's work this out. What issue do you take?
Okay. I'm going to see what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring up every one of my tweets and we can go word for word, frame by frame. Not
just like Jason Segel's dick.
Just like Jason Segel's dick. That's on the, if you follow us on Patreon, if you subscribe to us, you can follow that and get that coverage and the Matt's Twitter breakout.
As soon as we do a Patreon, the first tier is going to be the Jason.
1,000%. 1,000%. Strictly that type of content, the X-rated content.
Exactly. It's going to be great. Appreciate you all tuning in. Running close to an hour and a half here, so a jam-packed episode. Going to be back with another jam-packed one next week with Mad Max 2: The Road Warrior and anything else we feel like talking about.
I do want to mention next week we get Fargo season 4.
We do, yeah. It's going to be the first episode of that coming out, so we're going to be breaking that down. Seeing some good reviews so far. Some concerns with some of the reviews I've seen, but for the most part, looks like it's a rollicking success is the word that I saw. So pretty pumped.
Looking forward to that. I think that is next Sunday, I believe. So I'm probably not going to watch that live if there's any Sunday night football. So I might tune into that, Monday or sometime that early.
I think
early in the week.
It goes to Hulu and there's no commercial, so it's probably just going to be a better viewing experience that way.
Yeah, sign me the F up for that.
It's going to be a lot of fun, man. Are you excited?
I'm very pumped. This will be my first season I'm seeing live. So
me too.
Very, very excited for that. I know I came into Game of Thrones late. I was in the season 5, and then it was quite the treat when I could actually watch live.
That's how it always happens with shows these days, though. Nobody knew about Breaking Bad until it got on Netflix 4 seasons in. So, that's how it happens.
Oh, yeah. I watched Breaking Bad after it was completely over. So,
well, there you go. Rewatching it right now, actually. I forgot to mention that as one of my watches.
Nice. What season are you into?
I'm almost done season 1. Okay. Just finished No Rough Type Deal, which is a Fargo reference. Season
1 is very slow, but I think it's the second to last episode is completely badass with the dropping of the whatever that was. I forget.
Yeah,
the crystallized.
I think that's the third to last one. So I just got through that. It's I haven't rewatched it pretty much since I first saw the show. And Jesse, we need to cook. It's it's such a fun rewatch. It's so much fun.
We should definitely do that at some point. Some Breaking Bad coverage. But
there is no we.
I
Not
am the
anymore.
one who knocks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's gonna
science.
be- yeah, Mr. White.
Mr. White, bitch. Have you
Yeah.
quick note before we tune out of this one? Have you seen the Jimmy Fallon take on that?
I want to say I have. I don't remember. I feel like I
It's
have.
great. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, where he's wearing the beanie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, bitch. Science.
So great.
Very,
So
very,
great.
very happy to welcome Jesse Pinkman into the show tonight to talk magnets and everything else.
This meth you're selling, so great. Really proud of you, buddy.
Incredible. Okay, bud. Is that all we got?
That's gonna wrap it up, sir.
All right. There's a show. That's a show. We will talk to you guys next week.
Booyah.